You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not—
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of that being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana—
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana But why?
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or—
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a century—
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevric 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for—
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Let's find out. Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevric 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
Have you guys lived up here in Dag Fazel with Hevric 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevric 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquil have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquil themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquil, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevric 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis?
No way. If we went back after knowing that after all this time, there's nothing to be gained from things are going just fine. Not that it'll be around much longer. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the
Thank you for answering. Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer's species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else?
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us?
Of course not. There's really no such thing.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the renans were originally created from Danans by the
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people.
There aren't. But there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language. People of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware. In essence, we were created to... They gathered Danans who had an affinity for astral... That's why we, as their descendants...
Let me get this straight. Are you saying renans were originally...
Wait, that explains why almost no-
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible.
Enough!
How can you speak so calmly about-
I guess I can see how when viewed in a certain... But if you ask me, I think they all... If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty and... Anyway, the Helganquil are the real renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans...
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is for a while. Do you know anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes.
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral...
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's...
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the...
We have a winner. However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many renans in Helganquil that day. For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contests began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, a new Sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point,
Heverick 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is...
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes. And are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you,
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job. It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down.
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the...
Let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but... I think it's fair to say that we've found the answers we've been looking for.
Agreed. Though I'll admit that I never
Everything that's happened,
And to get that energy, then the Helganquil created the renans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the renans as well.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Why don't we all take some time to think things over?
That's a good idea. If the Renan Great Spirit really is behind all this, and we've got... Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We are. You sure you don't want to be alone?
I could ask you the same question.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking up on everybody.
I'll go along with you.
Sounds good.
Everyone's just gone their own way, huh?
Yeah, let's hit up each spot. Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a fabrication that the Red Women... No, that the Helganquil...
Right. Assuming we can believe it.
Well, if the names are anything to go by,
But if Heverick 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie...
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not.
Really? Well then, if we've lost it, I guess...
Make one, huh?
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the renans and the Great Spirit and all that?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the renans...
How so?
Coexistence between Danans and renans. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down... So... to be told that...
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time...
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Danans have... And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same...
Even just among the Danans, I'm sure there'll be some... I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Rinwell did.
It's no small task. We can't
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. In a worst-case scenario...
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace each other's pain, in a sense.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's true. Everybody It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that, first we need to make sure our planet isn't going to get wiped out.
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the renans looked like it shook you up.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Danan mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if renans end up living together with Danans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dana anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Danans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down, and there might be renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah, I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Danan and a mage to help bring both sides together.
Rinwell.
That Great Spirit worries me too, though. Dana's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to destroy our entire planet?
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought that up. Maybe they don't know either.
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dana's still our home. There's no way we can let it be destroyed.
We won't. We'll keep it safe no matter what.
I still can't believe it, man.
You're not the only one still trying to make sense of all this. Believe me.
Really? You've never struck me as the type of guy to get hung up on these sorts of things.
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my memory started coming back to me, I felt completely and totally lost.
It was really that bad for you?
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody else, I remembered that I still had things out there worth fighting for.
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen. All I can remember thinking was, when's this guy gonna get his act together?
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad, and running away from the truth. That was no way to live. And I've tried to stay strong, my way. But all this talk about other races and the world ending, if I can be honest with you guys, it's just all too much for me to handle right now.
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is not to worry too much about the big stuff right now.
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons, but I never really opened up to anyone about them. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, I didn't know what I should do or who to tell. But that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me, to teach me what's really important. I just had to open up and listen.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside, you'll begin to lose sight of what you really care about. Yeah, I think you're right.
The thing that's most important, what I really care about. All I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me, to fight for them. That's good enough, right?
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still alive. Law, you know you're strong enough to fight, and you're strong enough to protect the people you care about. Forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose sight of what you want to protect in the first place. Sound good?
Yeah, I think it does. It's like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'll fight to protect the people around me. Just like I always have. I think that's best.
I apologize for making you witness that.
In hearing the origins of the renans?
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to be indelible fade away in mere seconds.
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is actually true.
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie, it's a rather elaborate one. I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned, Alphen. And you as well, Shion. About your thorns, and being a maiden.
That's just part of being alive, don't you think?
Well, to say the least. But enough about me. I'm not concerned for myself. What concerns me is all of the other renans out there.
When you say the other renans, you mean the ones that are living on Lenegis or Dana, right?
Correct. Even if we stop the Great Spirit from annihilating Dana, our problems will still remain. Putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we do not truly belong there, we will have to think long and hard about where it is that we wish to return to.
So, I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegis or come down to Dana, huh? And right now, Lenegis might not even be a safe option.
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace renans with open arms. If the issue is forced, things could turn dire. There is, after all, 3 centuries worth of hatred to overcome between us. And the victims of our rule have absolutely every right to feel animosity towards us renans. Our own circumstances as the aggressors are irrelevant.
I didn't expect the former Lord of Menancia.
Menancia's fate was a stroke. There had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way.
Indeed. I have fully... On that note, I have some...
Oh?
I wish for you to serve as a mediator, so that the renans can... As the one and only blazing sword. I suspect...
And I take it that you'll be the...
Yes. However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for renans to re-enter Danan society without any blood... Is it too...
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're asking for a favor.
You're too kind.
That's some high praise, Alphen.
Then I'll ask once again. This time just as friends. Alphen, will you help me?
You don't even need to ask. Of course I will.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learning from...
What about you, Shion?
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, right now it's...
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. Not if or when, but I thought I'd die alone. I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you. It's been going on for 300 years. It was Naori's hope that somehow, how it fell on us of all people.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop. She considered me, a Danan, as a real person. And she very much cherished. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff, like everyone, she said that the first step down that path, that means forgiving other people.
Forgiving. So...
Yeah. I don't just mean forgiving things that happened in the past either. If we have any hope of moving on and building a better...
You know, you're right. People can hurt one another.
It's not going to be easy getting... But if we can do it, I'm sure there'll come a time when we can all truly understand each other. I'm there with you, Shion. I think that's the very least I can do to repay Naori.
Yeah, I want...
Whoa there, Savior Girl.
Yes, I know.
Well, is everybody...
I am. There's a lot to think about, but I don't care who we're up against.
What are your thoughts, Alphen?
Like Law said, if we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, then so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world. And it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Shion.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Shion tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Shion's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's great spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Shion's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain.
While the main body resides in Rena.
Shion.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's great spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own right. This is an altogether greater challenge for merely 6.
And we only know about the thorns.
Heverick 35 has been observing. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan. Our minds are made up. Let's go give Hevrek 35 our answer.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up program—
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the renans Alma stolen, Lenegis is functioning fine.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded.
More importantly, who do they think we are?
I just hope everyone on Lenegis is safe.
Worst comes to worst, Lenegis is equipped with a large number of starships that people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something.
Wait, explode?
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenegis.
Right.
Do you have your answer for me?
We want to ask. You're asking us to fight an entire. You must have something up your sleeve.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the great spirit shall become unable to maintain.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the renans Alma. You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the...
Hold on. That sounds...
Yeah, killing herself to take...
She was actually right.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her. We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational.
That's...
It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the Great Astral Spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait. Naori said that the renans Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit?
It is true that the renans Alma...
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine considering that the renans Alma was previously lost when that...
What does that mean for us if you...
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to...
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do it your way.
Alphen?
Whatever we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. The Great Spirit will destroy it. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process. If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alvin.
What you say is irrational. Be that as it may,
You'll agree?
I am an observer. I wish to see how well they...
But what are we supposed to do about the renans Alma?
It is likely that the renans Alma,
So our only option to retrieve it.
according to my observations,
So right in the middle of that
I have one more question. What will happen to Rena once it...
without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit...
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages.
Man, I wish...
Hevrek 35 and the others have gotten used to fix our starship.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves. To remember that.
It matters little to me. Repair work on your starship has commenced. Finished.
Man, is it too much to ask for Hevrek 35 to talk like a normal person? I swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated stuff.
Don't worry. I think we're mostly done with him. Now all we have to do is rest up and wait. Once the Fall Knights is good to go again, we'll be taking off for Rena right away.